Chapter 10. The Ides of March. The dictator did much good for the Republic. He put Romans to work digging ports and canals and made a plan to build a grand library. He granted citizenship and all the rights that came with it to many living in the provinces. New colonies were established in far-flung reaches of the Republic, and Caesar sent 80,000 Romans to start new lives there. He also started a project to record all the Romans' laws in one place, a process that would take hundreds of years. But Caesar's love of power also made Romans nervous and fearful. He had coins minted with his image. He placed a statue of himself among statues of the gods. He put one of Cleopatra in the temple of Venus. Some feared he would take Cleopatra as his queen and rule over Rome from Egypt as a king. After all, he had taken to wearing the traditional purple toga of the ancient kings. In early 44 BC, a group of senators met in secret to discuss what to do about Caesar. They called themselves the Liberators. Marcus Brutus, a man whom Caesar had once known since Brutus was a baby, was among them. The Liberators decided the only way to save the Republic was to murder its dictator. Early one morning, Caesar's wife, Calpurnia, awoke from a terrible nightmare. In it, she was holding her husband's lifeless body. It was March 15th, the Ides of March, days earlier. Caesar had been warned by a fortune teller that something terrible would happen on this day. Caesar's wife begged him to stay home, but Caesar refused. As Caesar walked through the forum, he was approached by a man who worked for Brutus. The man had heard about the plan to murder Caesar. Afraid to speak aloud, the man slipped Caesar a scroll of paper explaining everything. But Caesar was in a hurry and merely put the scroll with some other papers he was carrying. Next, Caesar saw the fortune teller. He laughed and told her that she had been wrong. It was the Ides of March and he was alive and well. The fortune teller cautioned Caesar that the day was not over yet. Upon Caesar's arrival in the Senate hall, a group of men surrounded him. One senator whose brother had been exiled by Caesar asked him for a pardon. When Caesar refused, the man tugged on Caesar's toga, begging for mercy. This was the signal. The first to stab Caesar was a senator named Casca. He was so nervous that he only grazed Caesar's neck. Caesar attacked with the only weapon he had, a pen, and stabbed it through Casca's arm. 22 more blows descended on Caesar, one knife after another. Could this really be how the great commander would die? Caesar fought for his life, wildly until he saw Marcus Brutus, the boy he had known and mentored for so many years, raise his weapon to strike. Even you, my child? A shocked Julius Caesar said as the knife came down, refusing to let his enemies see him die. Caesar pulled his toga over his head and collapsed dead on the Senate floor. He was 55 years old. Rome erupted into chaos, fearing their lives. Caesar's allies fled the city. After Caesar's death, the fight to control Rome raged for more than a decade. Caesar's heir was Octavius, defeated his uncle's enemies, ending the Republic, and opened debate and free elections forever. In its place rose the Roman Empire. At its height, it stretched from Scotland to Egypt, connecting the world as never before. Octavius became Rome's first emperor, changing his name to Caesar Augustus and ruling as supreme leader. For hundreds of years, Rome's emperors would also take the name Caesar. Later in history, German and Russian leaders took the name themselves, Kaiser and Tsar. Though the empire would eventually crumble, Julius Caesar's name remains eternal.